East Prussia, with its forests and lakes, was the first part of pre-war German territory the Red Army entered. It is estimated that as many as 2 million German women were raped by Red Army soldiers.
From 1944 to 47, what occurred to Germany in the last year of the war and the immediate post-war years was a crime so terrible. The world has never experienced such a crime like this. And the fact that it remains a secret doesn't mean it's any less of a crime, but it probably was the largest, the darkest, and the bloodiest secret in world history. The massacres, the rapes, the starvation, the deliberate attempt to destroy a nation entirely. Now, I'm not talking about leaving something left. Basically, that was that's what the Allies were traveling under in the last year of the war and the immediate post-war years. This nightmarish attempt to destroy Germany, a terror bombing toward the late stages of the war. A terror bombing. There's no other phrase that says it quite as well as terror bombing. Long after all military objects have been blown to splinters, the American and British Air Forces continued to blast German cities, blasting the rubble to even more rubble. A lot of folks are still, to this very day, their bones are still buried underneath the rubble in Germany that was built over, of course, after the war. What it was like for a woman, let us say a 45-year-old something woman, a German who was in a village when the Russians finally came, when they finally burst through and the fighting had passed, and then comes the second echelon of Russian troops, for the most part Asiatics and Mongolians from the Russian Eastern republics, and the rapes began. And what does a woman do? How do you deal with rape? And I'm not talking about just one soldier perhaps dragging you into a room and raping. I'm talking about 5 and 10 at a time, for days, for weeks. This goes on. Some women, I mean, again, we're talking in the words of the people themselves, talking to them. They did all sorts of things to avoid rapes. They become almost indifferent to it after a while, almost. Some of them lost their minds, but some women who were actually good-looking prior to the rapes actually started trying to make themselves look uglier. They would feign illnesses and act like they were cripples, and it still didn't work. The madness for among the Russian soldiers for rape was incredible. And sometimes women were raped 10, 20 times a night, 100 times a week. Sometimes they were raped to death, and then they were raped some more. And, of course, mothers with children were frantic to try to protect their little ones. They'd do anything they could. Of course, they would give their bodies gladly if they could protect their children. Mostly it didn't work, though. There was an old saying from 8 to 88. That was the time. That was the age frame for rapes, if you can believe that. Even grandmothers were taken and raped repeatedly. Even people that were sick and the women who were on their periods. Nothing was sacred, and just very nearly extinguished the German people altogether.